I know it was short notice, but I am so glad that you met me here today. I have been looking over these court documents. Lori Vallow's defense filed a motion in limine, and then the state objected to it. Now, I know they were just in court Wednesday, March 15th, talking about these things, and the judge has not yet issued his order on what is going to happen, but let me just tell you some of the things that are in these two documents that stood out to me. Now, we heard them argue their points in the hearing on the 15th, but let's just look at a couple of these things. The defense's motion is 6 pages long. If you're scrolling through it and you go down to page 2, it says, the very first thing it says, late disclosed evidence. 1. Paragraph 2 of the court's scheduling order states that all discovery must be completed prior to February 27th, 2023. And the state didn't give the defense some of this information, sounds like quite a bit of information, until 4:07 p.m. on the 27th of February, which is late. I feel like this is going to be a major player. I feel like the court will exclude this evidence. Maybe they'll just take the death penalty off the counter as an option. Yeah, maybe they'll just take the death penalty off the counter as an option. I don't like it. The state lists a lot of names, and I'll go through those in a minute. I'm not going to go through all of them, but one of the things listed here is a psychic essay that's 76 pages, and Lindsay Blake said they're not going to use that, which I wonder if that is Reverend Donna Serafina. I don't know. If you scroll down further on page 3, it says, 4. Preventing the admission of this late disclosed evidence at trial would include all the witnesses identified in the FBI reports. The FBI reports begin with interviews in 2020, 3 years ago. For example, Audrey Baratario, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, so I will refer to her as Audrey from now on. For example, Audrey was a friend of the defendant. She pleaded the Fifth Amendment when summoned for the grand jury. The government still listed her as a witness, and so the defense reached out to her to see what she was planning to say. She refused to provide any information to the defense. Then, less than 30 days before trial, and after the court's discovery cutoff deadline, the defense received the FBI report containing the details of the interview with said witness. Her statements about the defendant are false. Okay, now I'm going to point out that Baratario is spelled in this court document Barratariao. That's in the defense's motion. Now we're going to look at the state's objection, and it was filed on March the 13th at 4:47 p.m., and it is titled State's Objection to Defendant's Motion in Limine. The state's objection is 44 pages long, and I definitely have not read through all of that, but I do want to mention a couple of things. First, if you go to page 8, and Justin Lum did post a few of these pages on his Facebook page, but if you go to page 8, you'll start seeing a list of witnesses' names, and I am just going to run through that list of names. I'm not going to read everything out beside it, but these are names that they're trying to exclude from the witness list. Melanie Boudreau, Paul Daybell, Zachary Cox, Adam Cox, Jeannie Martin, David Warwick, Brian and Emily Gibb, David Barker, Jamie McBain, William LaGoya, Braxton Boudreau, Janice Cox, Rachel Dukestatter, Dana Sheets, Douglas Sheets, Robert Vallow, Kaylee Benish, Julie Rowe, Kay Woodcock, Edgar Landazuri, Ashlyn Rind, Nelson Yanes, Virginia Mann, Tavia Womack, Joseph Williams. Now it goes on to say, if you go down to page 10, it says, Fremont County. The defendant made an issue of the witness, Audrey Bartario, and the name is spelled Barratario. Okay, I'm going to start over. The defendant made an issue of the witness, Audrey, in its motion in limine again. The defendant left out critical information regarding this witness and has not accurately represented her involvement or information previously made available to the defense. The defendant's motion appears to represent that Audrey, now the name is spelled Barratio. All right, the defendant's motion appears to represent that Audrey did not provide testimony to the grand jury. This is inaccurate as Audrey did testify and provide evidence to the grand jury. The defendant is in possession of that transcript. Further, the defendant has conveniently left out of its motion that multiple reports regarding interviews with Audrey have been previously provided to the defense. While the report provided in the 13th disclosure does include some new information from Audrey, it is mostly derivative of what Audrey had already told law enforcement. Indeed, on 8/9/2021, the state provided 3 separate interviews with Audrey. The state would further inform the court that on the same day the defendant filed its motion in limine, Audrey contacted Fremont County law enforcement and provided further information, which was then provided to the defense on 3/9/2023. While the defendant maintains that what Audrey said about the defendant is untrue, that is a question for the jury and not an issue currently before the court. The state believes a similar analysis as Rhodes is applicable here. The defendant has long been aware of this witness and the general nature of her testimony. The state cannot control whether she chooses to speak with the defense or not. The mere fact that the defendant does not agree with or like what this witness says is not enough to strike the witness. Now, I went Googling for this Audrey chick, and I couldn't get any kind of hits. And I found out why just now. That is not how you spell her name. You spell her name Barrattiero. And now that I know how to spell her name, I can continue to do my Googling and see if there's any information out there. So, do you think she's going to be thrown out as a witness? And do you think that whole list of people will be thrown out? Now, I have heard a few of those names, but some of those names I haven't ever heard. Tell me what you're thinking. I also saw that Nate from East Idaho News did get a sketch artist approved, so that's good news. Let me know how you'll be watching the trial also. Well, not watching it, but consuming it. Are you going to get just updates? Are you going to listen to the whole thing? I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I am brainstorming on that, and I am going to try and put something together, just a quick recap on this story before trial starts. So, thank you again for meeting me here on such short notice, and I will see you soon.